Egyptian women got married at 14, and men paid money for the bride. In ancient Egypt, there wasn't a big wedding ceremony. The bride would just move in with her husband. Ancient Egyptians married inside their social classes. Men married between the ages of 16 and 20. If a groom was older, he was either divorced or a widower. Women married as soon as they reached puberty. It was usually around the age of 14 years old. The parents would decide who their child should marry. They'd agree on a price that the groom would pay. Both families would also exchange gifts. Sometimes, a man decided whom he would marry. He would have a suitor, who was usually a woman. She would ask the bride's mother if he could marry her. The bride would enter her new house in a long linen dress. Her head would be covered with a net. She would wear all her jewelry to show off to her husband. Royal houses often held wedding celebrations. Husband and wife offered gifts to the gods. They also exchanged gifts with each other. Spouses called each other brother and sister. This suggests that husband and wife were equal. First, it was believed Egyptians married their relatives, but this was not usually the case. Only people in royalty would marry their siblings. Most other Egyptians married outside of their families. Marriage was considered sacred. It was believed to last even in the afterlife. The god Osiris would judge the husband and wife. He decided if they could stay together after they died. However, ancient Egyptians had a right to divorce. One of the main reasons for divorce was infertility, but often spouses just decided to marry someone else. Adultery was taboo, especially on the side of a woman. She could be punished with stoning or burning on the wheel. Divorce was almost as common as marriage. The woman would get some money from her husband. The upper class made a contract before the wedding. It was signed by the groom and the father of the bride. It defined how the couple would share their property. The children from the marriage belonged to the mother. The main duty of wives in Egypt was to give birth. She had to have as many children as possible. She also took care of the children in the home. Ancient Egyptians had their version of pregnancy tests. They checked the woman's urine on pots of barley. The test was also said to predict the child's gender. The woman needed to urinate daily on emmer and barley wheat. If barley wheat sprouted first, she would have a girl. If the emmer wheat sprouted first, she would have a boy. If there were no sprouts at all, she wasn't pregnant. Egyptian women gave birth in a squatting position. They stood on two bricks, known as birth bricks. The bricks were often built into a small room. After giving birth, the woman would get purification. She was left in isolation with her child in the birth room. The room was decorated with motifs of Tauret and Bes. These two gods protected mothers and their newborns. After a couple of weeks, the woman rejoined her community. Egyptian women weren't only limited to the house. If needed, a married woman could get an occupation